Hi, I am Bahari, and welcome to a special episode of my podcast. Today, I want to take a step back from the usual and dive into something that feels incredibly important in the world we live in, something we could all use a little more of. This episode is all about love, and why, in every instance, love is better than hate. Now, I know this might sound simple or even cliché to some, but let me start by saying this. I honestly believe that everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from, can play a part in creating happiness. It doesn't take grand gestures or heroic efforts to make a difference. Sometimes, it's the smallest acts, the kind smile to a stranger, the hug when someone's having a bad day, or simply choosing patience and understanding over anger and frustration, that change everything. We live in a time where hate seems to shout louder than love. It's everywhere, in our social media feeds, in the news, in our communities. But that doesn't mean hate has to win. We have the power to shift the narrative. We have the ability to remind the world that love, real, genuine, compassionate love, can be stronger, more resilient, and more transformative than any amount of hate. You see, love has this amazing ability to connect us. It can heal wounds, break down walls, and bring light to the darkest places. And unlike hate, which tears us apart and isolates us, love builds bridges. It creates a space where we can come together, even when we don't always agree, and find common ground in our shared humanity. Today, I want to explore that with you. What does it mean to truly love? How can we, as individuals, bring more love into the world? And why is it so important to recognize that love isn't just an emotion, it's a choice, a practice, and a force that can change everything? So, stick with me as we dig deeper into the idea that love is better than hate. Together, we'll talk about the power of touch, the significance of small gestures, and how each of us can contribute to creating a world where love is the loudest voice. Because at the end of the day, I truly believe that we all have a part to play in building happiness, and it starts with choosing love. Love, the force that transforms the world. In the great expanse of human history, countless battles have been fought, empires have risen and fallen, and lives have been shaped by the dual forces of love and hate. These two powerful emotions exist in constant tension, each capable of driving humanity to its highest peaks or its lowest depths. Yet, in every instance where hate has sought to consume and destroy, love has shown itself to be the more enduring, transformative force, the one that binds us, heals us, and reminds us of the beauty in life. To understand why love is better than hate, one must first grasp the essence of these emotions. Hate, at its core, is a destructive force. It isolates, breeds fear, and thrives on division. It manifests as anger, resentment, and the desire to see others suffer. Hate is like a wildfire, capable of reducing everything in its path to ashes, leaving behind scars that take generations to heal. It sows seeds of discord, tears apart families, destroys communities, and ignites wars. Though it may feel powerful in the moment, its effects are hollow, and its victories are short-lived. Hate leaves behind emptiness, an aching void where joy and connection once existed. Love, on the other hand, is the ultimate force of creation and connection. It is an emotion that brings people together, fosters empathy, and builds bridges of understanding. Love is patient, kind, and resilient. Where hate divides, love unites. Where hate breeds fear, love inspires courage. It is the energy that fuels acts of selflessness, the bond that holds families and communities together, and the foundation upon which all lasting relationships are built. Love has the power to transform individuals, changing hearts and minds in ways that hate never can. Consider the story of two neighbors, John and Sarah, who lived side by side for years. John was a man of bitterness, hardened by the struggles of life. He viewed the world with suspicion and held grudges against those who had wronged him. Sarah, on the other hand, was a woman full of compassion and empathy, always seeking to help those in need. For years, they barely spoke to each other, as John's hardened heart kept him distant from everyone around him. One winter, a terrible storm hit their town, leaving both John and Sarah trapped in their homes without electricity or heat. As the days wore on, John's resentment grew. He cursed his fate and blamed the world for his misfortunes. Sarah, however, chose a different path. Despite her own struggles, she noticed that John's home had no smoke rising from the chimney and no sign of activity. Worried about her neighbor, she decided to check on him. When Sarah knocked on John's door, he was taken aback. He had spent years building walls around himself, pushing people away with his anger and distrust. Yet, here was Sarah, offering him a warm meal and a place by her fire. Reluctantly, John accepted. Over the course of the storm, as they sat together by the hearth, something remarkable began to happen. John, for the first time in years, felt the warmth of human connection. Sarah didn't judge him for his bitterness or push him to explain his anger, she simply showed him kindness. In the days that followed, John's heart softened. He began to see the world through a new lens, one not clouded by hate but illuminated by love. He realized that hate had isolated him, while love had the power to heal. Sarah's act of compassion, simple as it was, had planted a seed of change in John's soul. Over time, that seed grew, transforming him into a kinder, more open person. John found joy in connection, in giving rather than taking, in understanding rather than condemning. The power of love had broken through the walls of his hate and led him to a better life. This story, though fictional, reflects a deep truth about the nature of love and hate. Hate may offer temporary satisfaction, an outlet for anger or a way to feel in control, but it is love that offers lasting fulfillment. Hate thrives on fear, but love thrives on understanding. Hate demands that we close our hearts to others, while love invites us to open ourselves to the world. Love allows us to see others as they truly are, with all their flaws and vulnerabilities, and to care for them anyway. It builds bonds of trust, cooperation, and mutual respect that are the foundation of any healthy society. When we choose love over hate, we choose to embrace our shared humanity. We choose to believe that, despite our differences, we are all worthy of kindness, compassion, and respect. We choose to focus on what unites us rather than what divides us. Love asks us to look beyond the surface and see the person beneath, their struggles, their hopes, and their dreams. It encourages us to forgive, to let go of grudges, and to seek reconciliation rather than revenge. In a world often fraught with division and conflict, love offers a way forward. It is the foundation of peace, the antidote to violence, and the source of all that is good in the world. Hate may seek to destroy, but love always finds a way to rebuild. It is in acts of love, big and small, that we find our greatest strength. Whether it's the love of a parent for a child, the love between partners, or the love for a community, this emotion has the power to inspire, uplift, and transform lives. Throughout history, some of the greatest movements for justice and equality have been fueled not by hate, but by love. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, and Nelson Mandela understood that hate could never bring about true, lasting change. They knew that only through love could they overcome the forces of oppression and injustice. They preached love for one's enemies, love for the oppressed, and love for the human spirit's capacity to rise above hate. Their legacies are a testament to the enduring power of love to change the world. Love is better than hate because it gives life meaning. It connects us to others, enriches our experiences, and brings us closer to the best version of ourselves. While hate may feel powerful, it ultimately leaves us empty, while love fills our lives with joy, purpose, and hope. Love endures. It outlasts pain, transcends differences, and heals even the deepest wounds. It is the force that binds us together, reminding us that no matter how dark the world may seem, there is always light to be found in the simple act of caring for one another. Love is better than hate because, in love, we find our true humanity. And in that humanity, we find the power to transform the world for the better. Love, the eternal flame that defies hate. If we were to ask what fuels the soul, what makes life worth living, and what drives us to wake up each day despite the hardships, the answer, more often than not, would be love. Not simply romantic love, but love in all its forms. Love for family, friends, community, and even for the world at large. It is the invisible thread that connects us all, binding us to one another in ways that transcend time, culture, and circumstance. In a world constantly at odds with itself, love is the one constant that has the power to turn tides, bridge gaps, and heal wounds that, at first glance, seem insurmountable. Yet, in every era and every society, hate has always tried to overshadow love. Hate is loud, demanding, and easily spread, often camouflaged as justice, righteousness, or retribution. But hate, no matter how cleverly disguised, is a poison that seeks only to consume. It whispers lies of division, fueling fear and mistrust. It convinces us that the other is not worthy of our compassion, and it hardens our hearts against those who do not look, think, or act like us. Hate may feel like power, but in reality, it is the absence of it. True power lies in love, and love, unlike hate, creates rather than destroys. It lifts rather than tears down. Consider the mother who sacrifices everything for her child, the friend who stays by your side in your darkest moments, or the stranger who offers a helping hand without expecting anything in return. These acts of love, small or grand, are what give life meaning. They remind us that, despite the cruelty the world may sometimes exhibit, there is goodness at the heart of humanity. It is love that drives acts of kindness, courage, and generosity. Without love, we lose the essence of what it means to be human. Love heals, hate hurts. Imagine two nations locked in a bitter feud for generations. The lands are scorched by war, families have been torn apart, and hatred has become a way of life. In the midst of all this, a single act of love changes the course of history. Two individuals, one from each side, decide to defy the hate that their people have inherited. They meet not as enemies, but as human beings. In each other, they see the pain that their respective sides have inflicted, but instead of seeking revenge, they offer forgiveness. This is not just a story of forgiveness between two individuals, it is a story of how love can heal wounds that hate has caused. Love recognizes the shared humanity in every person. It doesn't deny the pain, but it doesn't cling to it either. Love allows us to let go of the past so that we can move forward together. It transforms the narrative from one of us versus them to one of we. Love is the act of mending, of building bridges where hate has burned them. It is the key to reconciliation and peace. Hate, by contrast, seeks only to wound. It festers like an open sore, infecting not just the person who harbors it, but everyone around them. Hatred spreads through words, actions, and even silence. Where love seeks to understand, hate seeks to vilify. Where love extends a hand, hate builds walls. Hate promises vengeance, but never delivers justice. Instead, it leaves behind only more pain, perpetuating cycles of violence and distrust. Love is infinite, hate is exhausting. One of the most remarkable qualities of love is that it is boundless. The more you give, the more you have. Love is not a finite resource that runs dry when shared, it is an ever-flowing river that only grows stronger the more it is nurtured. Whether it's love between partners, friends, or even a larger sense of love for humanity, it is self-replenishing. Love feeds on itself, multiplying with each act of kindness, each moment of empathy, each gesture of goodwill. In contrast, hate is draining. It saps energy, leaving those who carry it feeling hollow and exhausted. Have you ever noticed how hatred often turns inward? The person who hates is never at peace. They are constantly on guard, constantly seeking new targets for their anger. Hate is a heavy burden to carry. It darkens the soul, warps the mind, and eventually consumes the person who holds it. Living in hate is like trying to walk through life with a boulder on your back. Sooner or later, it will break you. Love, however, lightens your load. It lifts you up. When you love, you feel more alive, more connected, and more in tune with the world around you. Love fills you with energy and purpose. It encourages you to look beyond yourself, to care for others, and to see the world not as a battleground, but as a garden where growth, beauty, and cooperation can flourish. Love transcends differences. In today's world, where division often seems to be the norm, love offers a radically different perspective. It does not ignore differences, but it does not fear them either. Love transcends boundaries of race, religion, gender, and nationality. It sees beyond labels and embraces the person beneath. In love, we find a sense of unity that hate can never offer. Take, for example, the movements for social justice around the world. Whether it's the fight for racial equality, LGBTQ+ rights, or gender equality, love is the driving force behind these movements. It is love for justice, love for dignity, and love for the inherent worth of every individual that propels people to march, to protest, and to demand change. These movements are not fueled by hatred for the oppressor, but by love for the oppressed. They seek not to divide, but to unite in the common cause of humanity. On the other hand, hate thrives on division. It requires an other to demonize. Hate cannot exist in a world where people recognize their shared humanity, so it works tirelessly to create false divisions. Hate needs enemies to survive, and it will manufacture them where none exist. But love has the power to shatter these illusions, to remind us that we are all part of the same human family. The power of love in everyday life. It's easy to talk about love and hate on a grand scale, between nations, movements, and historical events. But love's power is perhaps most evident in the small, everyday moments of life. It's in the smile of a stranger, the helping hand of a coworker, the patience of a parent, and the loyalty of a friend. These seemingly small acts of love are what hold the world together. Think about the times in your life when you were at your lowest. Was it hate that pulled you out of the darkness? Or was it the love of someone who cared for you, who believed in you, who refused to give up on you? Love is the gentle push that encourages us to keep going when everything else tells us to stop. It's the voice that says, "You are not alone," even when the world feels cold and isolating. Love is freedom, hate is bondage. One of the most profound ways in which love reveals its superiority over hate is in the freedom it offers. Love liberates us from the chains of anger, bitterness, and resentment. It frees us to forgive, to let go, and to move forward. When you love, you experience the world with an open heart. You become more aware of the beauty around you, the kindness in others, and the potential for growth within yourself. Love allows you to live without fear because, in love, you are grounded in a deep sense of connection to something greater than yourself, be it to another person, a community, or the very essence of life itself. Hate, by contrast, is a prison. It locks us in a cycle of negativity, trapping us in an endless loop of anger and pain. When we hate, we close ourselves off from the world, cutting ourselves off from the very things that could bring us joy and peace. We may believe that hate makes us stronger, that it gives us control, but in reality, it makes us weaker. Hate narrows our perspective, blinding us to the possibilities for healing, understanding, and change. It feeds on itself, growing ever more consuming until it devours the person who holds it. To hate is to be bound by chains, while to love is to be free. Imagine, for a moment, two people standing at a crossroads. One is weighed down by the heavy burden of hate, dragging it behind them like a chain that grows heavier with every step. The other walks lightly, their heart full of love and forgiveness, their path illuminated by hope. The person carrying hate may feel justified in their anger, but they move slowly, hindered by the weight of their bitterness. The person who chooses love, however, moves with grace and ease, unburdened by the past, open to the future. In the end, it is love that leads us forward, while hate holds us back. Love has a remarkable ability to endure. It is resilient, adaptable, and capable of withstanding even the most challenging of circumstances. Throughout history, love has proven itself time and time again as the emotion that survives even when everything else falls apart. Love is found in the parent who continues to care for their child through sickness, in the couple who stays together through hardships, and in the friends who support each other despite the passage of time. Love endures because it is rooted in the fundamental human need for connection, and that need does not fade, no matter how difficult life becomes. Hate, on the other hand, cannot last. While it may burn brightly in the moment, consuming everything in its path, it ultimately withers and dies, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. Hate is unsustainable because it isolates. It creates enemies where there were once allies and distances us from the very people who might help us grow. In the end, hate is self-destructive, eroding the soul of the person who carries it. Take, for example, the story of two brothers who grew up in a small town. They were inseparable in their youth, but as they grew older, they had a falling out. Harsh words were exchanged, and the brothers became estranged. Years passed, and the hatred between them grew. One brother held on to his anger, feeding it with every slight, every memory of their conflict. The other brother, though hurt, chose to forgive. He reached out time and again, but his gestures were met with silence. As the years went by, the brother who held on to hate became more and more isolated. His anger consumed him, and he pushed away not just his brother, but everyone else in his life as well. His world grew smaller, colder, and lonelier. Meanwhile, the brother who chose love continued to build relationships, to forgive, and to reach out. In the end, it was the brother who chose love who found peace. Hate had withered the soul of the other, leaving him with nothing but regret. Love is creation, hate is destruction. At its essence, love is a creative force. It inspires us to build, to nurture, and to grow. Whether it's creating a family, a community, or even a work of art, love drives us to contribute something beautiful to the world. Love motivates us to act with kindness, to help others, and to leave the world a better place than we found it. It fosters cooperation, collaboration, and innovation. When people come together in love, they can accomplish incredible things, overcoming challenges, solving problems, and creating a future filled with possibility. Love is courage, hate is fear. Perhaps the most profound distinction between love and hate is the courage that love requires. To love, especially in the face of hate, takes an extraordinary amount of strength. It's easy to hate, it requires no vulnerability, no openness. Hate is a defense mechanism, a way to protect ourselves from hurt by pushing others away. But love? Love asks us to be brave. It asks us to open ourselves up to the possibility of pain, of rejection, of loss. Love requires us to be vulnerable, to trust, and to hope. But in that vulnerability lies true strength. To love is to risk, but it is also to gain. When we love, we open ourselves up to the greatest joys life has to offer. We allow ourselves to experience deep connection, profound happiness, and true fulfillment. Love makes life richer, fuller, and more meaningful. Hate, on the other hand, is born out of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of difference, fear of being hurt. Hate is the coward's choice, the easier path that asks nothing of us but to close our hearts and build walls. It may feel powerful in the moment, but it is a hollow, empty power. True power, the kind that changes lives and shapes the world, comes from love. The legacy of love. In the grand tapestry of life, love is the thread that holds everything together. It is the legacy we leave behind, the impact we make on those around us. When we choose love, we leave a mark on the world that endures long after we are gone. We inspire others to love, to give, and to live with an open heart. Hate, by contrast, leaves no legacy worth remembering. It fades into obscurity, a dark blot on the history of humanity that serves only as a cautionary tale. The monuments of hate crumble, but the legacies of love endure for generations. As we move forward in this world, we are constantly faced with a choice, love or hate. Each day, in every interaction, we have the power to choose how we will shape our lives and the lives of those around us. And while hate may be the easier choice, it is love that is the better one. Love brings healing, hope, and joy. It creates, it endures, and it liberates. In a world that so often seems divided and broken, love is the force that can bring us back together, that can heal our wounds, and that can light the way forward. The touch of a hug, the warmth of a handshake, these simple gestures, though often overlooked, are profound expressions of love in its most subtle and universal form. They transcend language, culture, and even time, reminding us that at the heart of human connection lies the need to be seen, acknowledged, and embraced. Think of the power of a hug. When arms wrap around you, it's more than just physical closeness. It's a moment of vulnerability and trust. It says, "I'm here with you." Whether it's to comfort someone in grief, celebrate a joyful occasion, or offer reassurance in times of uncertainty, a hug is a silent yet powerful declaration of love. It conveys what words often fail to: care, warmth, and the reminder that none of us are alone in this world. A handshake, too, is an unspoken promise. In that brief touch, there's a bond of respect, an acknowledgement of one another's presence, and a recognition of shared humanity. It is love in its most basic, everyday form, but no less significant. In a world where we are constantly rushing, constantly moving, that handshake pauses time for just a second, allowing two people to connect, even if only briefly. These gestures show us that love doesn't always need grand displays or flowery words. It can exist in the smallest of interactions, a pat on the back, a touch on the shoulder, or even the interlocking of fingers. These moments remind us that love is tangible, that it lives in our skin, in the spaces between us, and in the simplest forms of contact. Touch is the language of love. It breaks down barriers, bridges gaps, and unites us in ways we often don't even realize. A hug can soothe a broken heart, a handshake can close a deal, and both can make a stranger feel like a friend. These moments, however fleeting, are grounded in love, because love is at the root of all human connection. In the end, love is the quiet force that holds the world together, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. It is there in the softness of a hug, the warmth of a handshake, the gentle brush of a hand across your back, and the simple touch of holding hands. Love does not need to shout to make its presence known. It is in the smallest, most fleeting moments, yet its impact reverberates through our lives, shaping who we are and how we move through the world. In every touch, love whispers, "I see you. I value you. You matter." This is why love, in all its forms, is so much more powerful than hate. Hate isolates and divides, but love draws us closer, reminding us of our shared humanity. Hate may make us feel strong for a moment, but love is what truly sustains us, giving us the strength to endure, to forgive, and to grow. Hate can build walls, but love tears them down, brick by brick, touch by touch, until nothing remains but a path toward understanding. Love is not always loud or grandiose. It doesn't always arrive in sweeping declarations or grand gestures. Sometimes, love is quiet. It's the way you hold someone a little longer in a hug, letting them know that they are not alone in their pain. It's the firm clasp of a handshake that tells someone, "I respect you, and I'm with you." It's the way a hand on a shoulder can say, "You are safe here. I've got your back." Love is woven into the fabric of everyday life, in every gentle touch and every shared glance. It's in the moments we choose kindness over cruelty, compassion over indifference. As we go through life, it's easy to forget the importance of these small acts of love, but they are the very things that make life worth living. They remind us that, despite the darkness in the world, there is always light to be found. That no matter how much hatred tries to pull us apart, love will always find a way to bring us back together. The world can be a hard, harsh place. There will be times when you feel lost, when anger or pain makes you question everything. But in those moments, reach out. Find the hand that's willing to hold yours, the arms that are open to embrace you, the shoulder that's willing to bear some of your burden. Remember that love, no matter how small or simple, is the most powerful thing we have. It's what connects us, heals us, and brings us home to one another. And maybe that's the greatest gift of all, that love is always there, waiting for us in the spaces between, in the gentle touches, the shared smiles, the unspoken moments of connection. It is the antidote to hate, the balm for every wound, and the reason we continue to fight for a better world. So let your life be filled with love, love in the quiet moments, love in the chaos, love in every touch, every word, and every action. For in the end, love is the only thing that truly lasts. It is what makes us human, what binds us together, and what gives our lives meaning. Love is the greatest legacy we can leave behind. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this episode about love is better than hate, show a little love today. And make sure to subscribe or follow my podcast. And remember, the podcast continues across your favorite platforms: iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Wherever you go, it's right there, ready to share some love. But it doesn't end here. This journey is just the beginning. Stay tuned for the next episode, where J-Cat takes on new challenges, faces dangerous foes, and maybe even finds love in unexpected places. Until next time, keep that spirit of adventure burning bright. The world is filled with endless possibilities, and J-Cat is proof that no mystery is too big to solve. Remember, adventure is thrilling, but the heart's deepest desires are the greatest mysteries of all. Keep chasing passion, stay fearless, and never let love slip through your fingers. This is Bahari, signing off. Stay curious, stay bold, and always keep exploring, because the next chapter of J-Cat Adventures is just around the corner.
Compassion.